being human. The core of existence lies a profound truth, humanity, that transcends boundaries, cultures, and beliefs, weaving a common thread that unites us all. To be human is to navigate the intricate tapestry of emotions, experiences, and relationships that define a journey through life.
To decode and understand the difference between human being and being human. Today, we have an eloquent and a prolific speaker with us, Dushyanth Sridhar, a scholar who specializes in Hindu philosophy, mythology, and culture. He is known for his engaging and insightful discourses on various Hindu scriptures such as the Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, and the Mahabharata. May we invite Ms. Vijay Ramesh Sampath from the Rotary Club of Madras T Nagar to introduce the speaker of the day, Shri Dushyanth Sridhar. We will have a brief question-answer session post the discourse and we limit to 3 questions due to press of time. Over to Rotarian Vijay Ramesh Sampath.
Namaskaram to one and all present here. Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. It is a moment of pride and pleasure for having given the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker of today and my Manasika Guru, Shri Dushyanth Sridhar. Thanks Conference Chair, Rotarian Meenakshi for this. Shri Dushyanth Sridhar, a multifaceted person, has strongly established a unique place for himself in the field of Sanatana Dharma and is the most sought after public speaker, rendering discourses in English and Tamil, having more than 3,500 discourses to his credit, covering 125 cities and 23 countries. He has more than 1 million followers and has over 100 million views for his YouTube channel. It is no exaggeration to say that our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi is a follower in his Twitter page. He is an actor, director, author, and conducts spiritual tours as well. He is an Indic teacher by way of teaching through e-portal called Abhinava E-Patashala. He has conceptualized thematic dance shows in addition to maintaining a trust called Desika Daya. He is a recipient of many awards and finally a Pitts Pilani alumnus. I wanted to keep it so short, Swami. The place is for you. Thank you.
Prapadyetam girim prayaha Srinivasanu kampaya Ikshusara shravantyeva yenmurtya sharkaraitam Vigahe tirtha bahulam shitalam gurusantatim Srinivasa dayambodhi parivaha paramparam. A very good morning to the gathering, which is titled Sangamam. Indeed, it's a confluence of so many art forms. It is a confluence of listening to thoughts that have been internalized and that have been processed for years together. I'm extremely thankful to the chairman of the conference, the Rotary Governor, the members of the organizing committee, and of course, many Rotarians who have held these posts in the past conferences as well. The topic chosen for the day is being human. Even before I jump into the topic and get into the nuances and the intricacies that is involved in deciphering this topic, now that it is the flavor is the Rama season, I would like to honor a great Tamil poet that this land has produced. His name is Kamban. Interestingly, through the various sources that we have gathered and corroborated, we do not know what his original name is. Kamban is an incidental name. It is said that to get approval of the scholars in Srirangam, he had the roaring of a lion that looked as if a pillar were to break like a dicotyledon. So, the moment the sound that emanated from a pillar came, which is Kambam, this person who was a recipient of the grace became Kamban. But we do not know what his original name is. And of the many verses that have been celebrated and pondered upon, one verse that comes in the end of Sundarakandam is when Hanuman comes and informs Rama that he has seen Sita. So in Tamil, he says, Kanden Sitayai, Kandanan Karpinukku Aniyai Kangalal Irpirappu Enbadonnum. I've been asked to speak in English. I am still doing a decent job of it, but I don't know if I can literally translate everything that Kamban says. So he says, Kandanan Karpinukku Aniyai Kangalal Irpirappu Enbadonnum Karpu Ena Payaradonnum Kalinadam Puriyak Kanden. Unkulam Unnadaki Uyarpugalku Uruttiyaya Tankulam Tannadaki Tannai Ittanimai Seidan Vankulam Kuttrukku Eendu Vanavar Kulattai Vaalvittu Enkulam Enakku Thandal Ennini Seivadu Emmoi. This is, the beauty is, I was speaking about one such verse in a college. Many of them were confused if this was Tamil. So, kudos to Kamban. Now, he says, Kanden Sitayai. If I have to simplify it in English, he says, I saw Sita. Generally in grammar, you have a subject and a predicate. And predicate is further divided into verb and object. And object is divided into indirect object and direct object. This is the rule that two acharyas called Rennacharya and Martinacharya state. It is S plus V plus O, S plus V plus IO and DO. This is the basic formula. So if somebody serves me water, I just say, Mr. Suresh served me water. Water was served by Suresh. I don't get into a poetic mode where I speak. But here Kamban says, instead of saying Sitayai Kanden, he says Kanden Sitayai. Why? The verb will always take prominence than the noun only if the verb is more important than the noun. I'll just give a very basic introduction to how we use it in Sanskritam. It is called Ayoga Vyavachedam and Anyayoga Vyavachedam. For example, if I say Ramane Villali, which means nobody but Rama is a Villali, nobody but Rama is an archer. Raman Villaliye, which means Rama is not an auditor, Rama is not an engineer, he is an archer. So Raman Villaliye, Ramane Villali, there is a difference. Same is the case in Tamil. Had Hanuman gone in search of Sita, Geeta, Vani and Rani, and he has spotted only Sita, then you have to say Sitayai Kanden, which means, if I say Sitayai Kanden, that means Geetayai Parkavillai, Vaniyai Parkavillai, Raniyai Parkavillai. But his objective is to see only Sita, nobody else. So more than the noun, the verb will take prominence. So imagine, had Hanuman said, Sitayai, and Rama is extremely worried, what will he say next? Parkavillai. He could have said that as well, right? So more than the noun, the verb takes the prominence. That is when you say Kanden Sitayai instead of Sitayai Kanden. This is a nuanced form of grammatical understanding which Hanuman delivered while he spoke. Now let's get to being human. The other form of it is human being. Like Sitayai Kanden and Kanden Sitayai, being human and human being are the same. But in being, there are two ways to derive it. For example, to swim, to live, to breathe. When you take gerund and infinitive in English, it becomes swimming, drinking, breathing. So to be becomes being. So if I take it as human being, it simply means the complex of all our organs covered with layers of flesh. This is human being. But being human insists that human means something else. What is it? Here, when I say being human, human is not just the aggregate of all the organs which is enveloped with layers of flesh. There's something beyond this. What is it? This is where I thought I will list down a few examples that we could relate to. Let's take the theme for such a beautiful confluence. It is Sangamam. In our understanding of today, you go to Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh where two large rivers, Ganga and Yamuna, meet. It is called Sangamam. So, place where two things meet. But if you take the out of it, it is Sangam, Sangha, then it also denotes the Tamil conferences that used to happen in this bhumi. It is called Idaichangam, Naduchangam, Kalaichangam. So that Sangam there means putting together. You'll be surprised. Towards the end of Purananuru, those of you who can't understand Tamil, please understand that Tamil is undoubtedly one of the oldest languages. Tamil has a very rich literature. It's a plethora of literature. Wherever I go, I keep telling people, if given an opportunity, please make time to learn this language. Because when you learn this language, it just doesn't help you talk with the Ola drivers and Uber drivers. It also exposes you to a rich gamut of literature. So towards the end of Purananuru, the author says, why Sangam? Why should people get together? Because Vyasarpanita Bharatattukku marumozhiyam. They were so much influenced by Vyasa's Mahabharata, they wanted to present this to the audience of this land, and that's why they all gathered. So this is mentioned as objective. That's it. What is being human in Mahabharata? Because there's only bloodshed and there's war. I've told this in some of my lectures. The Draupadi that we know of Mahabharata is a very vengeful lady. She doesn't leave a single opportunity to hit it back and give it back. Whereas the Draupadi that we know of Bhagavatam is a very sober, a very soft Draupadi. Is there an instance to it? Yes. In the Mahabharata, Draupadi, who's just born and then who's to be given in marriage, she has many men standing in a line, and then they all apply for the post, and then one qualifies for it, Arjuna, and then she heads back to her hermitage, and that is when her mother-in-law throws the biggest shock of her life, where, being a social media person of those days, she says, share. So, it was a big shock for her. How do I share? Whom do I share? Who's going to share me? And she accepts the duality of life. And then she marries all the 5 men. Polyandry of those days. So, as she gets polyandrous and she has a rigmarole of challenges that she faces. She has 5 children through the 5 husbands. They all go on an exile for 12 years. The 13th year is a year of incognito. And after this year of incognito, I'm sure those of you who are aware of the basics of Mahabharata will know that Shakuni had planned it so well. He was a Manthara square and a Shurpanaka cube put together. Shakuni. So his mind worked different dimensions. He had a thought. He said 12 years of Vanavasam, 1 year of Ajnatavasam, 12 plus 1. The beauty of this is, he said, in the 13th year, if one of you gets spotted somebody says, I understood the identity of this person, this is Draupadi. Suppose somebody spots your identity, you have to repeat 12 plus 1 again. In the 13th year, if you're spotted. I don't know who was influenced of Shakuni's rule, but I'm sure those of them who designed the CA courses, you don't clear one subject, you have to give the entire group. So this was the rule. And they were able to win over all those challenges, and then there was this war. Most of them, even the Rathis and the Maharathis, died. Towards the end of it, Ashwathama, who was always in the waiting to be the commander-in-chief, he thought, I need to impress upon Duryodhana. And in the mid of the night, when all of them were sleeping, under the assumption that he had killed the 5 Pandavas, he goes and shoots arrows at the 5 children of Draupadi born through the Pandavas. The next day, when he takes the paper of Times of Hastinapura, he spots that the 5 sons born to Draupadi are dead. That very moment, he says, why don't I go a step further and kill even the fetus that is growing in the daughter-in-law of Arjuna called Uttara Kumari. And he shoots an astram, and the rest is history. Now, when the 5 sons of Draupadi are dead, see, when she was humiliated, she put her hair in the open and she said, I will not plait it, I will not turn it into a bun until it is smeared in the blood of the person who humiliated me amidst the court where it oozes from his chest. And now she's all calm and poised. When Ashwathama is dragged in front of her, and Bhima and Arjuna in their own boisterous way say that this man should be guillotined, she says, let's not kill him. He is your Guru Putra. See, she has lost 5 children. She was humiliated in the past. She underwent a list of turmoils in her life. It was no path filled with rose petals. It was infested with sharp thorns. But she says, let's forgive Ashwathama. The husbands are flabbergasted. They ask, how do you want to forgive him? She says, he is Guru Putra. He is the son of your teacher. This point, she develops what is called as daya. That daya, that mercy, oozes and matures. This quality in a person which appears and manifests in itself at that point in time when they face the adversity is called daya, which is mercy. And this mercy is what that maketh a man. And this mercy is what that maketh a human. And that is why the topic says being human means being merciful. So this quality is what that is the quintessence, or probably the essence of the esoteric scriptures that we have bequeathed in the past. One of the greatest saints to have walked this planet in the last 100 plus years. I said one of the saints because there were many, but this saint was a powerhouse of knowledge, was a bundle house of humility, and with his long lifespan, he was able to touch the hearts of many. Many of them call him by a few names that he is known very well as the Paramacharya of Kanchi, called as Mahapriyava by many, and he was referred to by the pontiff name Chandrasekharendra Saraswati. When one of the assets of the state called Srimati MS Subbalakshmi had to go to the United Nations, a lyrics was drafted, it was tuned, and it was sent with her so that she could render. It's become a very popular rendition now. It's called Maitreem Bhajata. Probably the second and the third lines have to be sung in the Middle East and as far as Ukraine. Yuddham Tyajata, Spardham Tyajata, abandon the war, let the petrol prices come down. Yuddham tyajata, spardham tyajata. Interestingly, Paramacharya injects a certain line. He says, Damyata datta dayadhvam janataha. What is this? Where does Paramacharya get this thought from? There is a tale in the Upanishad. It is said that one representative from each of the categories, from the Deva category, from the Celestials category, from the Manushya category, and one from the demons, a representative of the demons. All three of them, they approached Brahma. And all three of them, let's assume that they were good or trying to be good for that day. They asked Brahma if you have any word of advice for us. Brahma said, now that you have volunteered to ask, I muster the courage to elucidate it for you. He says to the Deva, Damyata. What was the advice given to the Deva? Damyata. Why? Because a Deva, even from the little exposure to A.P. Nagarajan's movies that we have had, there will be lots of smoke coming. That is Devalokam for us, right? There's a lot of mist. There will be men, dressed head to toe in all jewelry, fully jewelry. While I was in Pilani, I had two of my very close friends from the state of Kerala. And while I used to work, one of my friends said, I'm getting married, Dushyanth, come over to Kerala. So I said, this is an opportunity to, an informal reunion of my friends. So I happened to go to Kerala, Cochin, to the marriage. I found everybody but my friend who was the bride. I went and asked her mother, can I know where my friend is? She said, she's here. I had to literally move the gold, and finally her head emerges out. Head to toe, she's covered in gold. So our understanding of Devas is they're always well decked, and there's always mist. So what is the purport here? The Devas were very flamboyant. For anything they would throw a party. They won't need a reason to throw a party. So flamboyance and grandeur were their landmarks. So Devas are not some special elements. We too have Devas in us. For no reason there'll be a party. Oh, we are having a get together. Is there a reason? No. No reason is the reason. So Brahma's advice to the Devas was Damyata. In Tamil there's a beautiful line. There's nothing which, I can't even translate this. Adakki Vasi. Okay. I am sure a lot of you will be multilingual, polyglots here. Translate Adakki Vasi in English. Do it. You cannot literally translate. AI has to come a few steps above because Vasi is not playing, right? Adakki Vasi means play it low. It doesn't work that way. So Adakki Vasi has its own emotion associated. So Damyata. So the advice given by Brahma to the Devas was Damyata. Keep your grandeur, your pomp, your grandiloquence, your show in the low. Damyata. To the Asuras, he said, Dayadhvam janataha. Always in the verge of hurting someone physically, mentally. How to charge at a person for no reason. Again, we keep thinking they live in a different realm. They don't have to live in page number 577 of angels and demons. The demon is within us. For no reason, we may end up causing a mental agony. That is why Valluvar says, Teenal suttappun ullarum arade navinal sutta vadu. Whatever I've spoken in these 30 minutes will become volatile naphthalene balls. But what a person might have hurt you 27 years back will never go out of your heart. So words have a certain power. Asuric power is just not about assaulting physically. It is about the verbal usage. What words to use, what emotion to express. So Brahma said, Dayadhvam janataha. So be a lot more merciful. And now comes the human in between, right? Brahma said, I have to tell you something which you don't do. What is it? Datta. Datta means give in charity. Because human quality is never to be charitable, it seems. That is why Brahma said, be charitable. So, to express grandeur was the Deva's job. So, Brahma said, don't express so much of grandeur, damyata. Human quality is to never be charitable. So, Brahma said, datta, give. And finally came the demons who were always harsh. He said, dayadhvam, keep it merciful. But what Brahma said about giving, I don't know how many categories of the humans in us understood and implemented, but Rotarians did. The art of giving, the art of thinking for the society, bereft of its differences, bereft of any kind of discrimination, serving the society, datta is the quality of Rotarians. So it's just not today, it is worldwide that we see that Rotarians serve the society in such beautiful ways, at times which even goes unnoticed. Because something that Rotarians need to master is the art of advertising. You know, the world will not even know how much you have given to the society if you didn't advertise. In a way, it also kind of inspires the generations to come how much to give. So Brahma's advice of giving and being merciful is not meant for any of the Rotarians here, because you're already merciful. You're already giving. So this being human is about just not a composition or a compendium of organs, but the thought of giving. And this thought of giving is what makes Rotary at a very, very unique and a very special spot. And countries like India, which aspires to be a developed country in 25 years and 30 years, needs a huge presence of Rotary. And given the time that I have been asked to speak, I would like to open this for question and answers. My only request is, if you don't mind, keep your questions very brief. Second, let's not make it very political questions or anything of that sort, because my area of expertise is different. And third, last of all, you may ask questions, but if I do not know the answer, I will be bluntly frank in telling you I do not know the answer. So please feel free to ask, either in Tamil or in English. Any language isn't a problem here. Questions? If you complete your question and answer session is when they will leave me and you will have your next session. At least for the goodwill of the next person who's going to share the next session, I honestly feel that you should start asking questions.
Dushyanth,
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. How to pass the difficult situations in our life? We want to be human, but sometimes situation makes us to challenge that. Can you give some advice on that?
Sure, sir. Compared to the average age of the Rotarians present in this hall, I'm too young to speak on such a question. I'm surely many of your children's age. Nevertheless, I have had the fortune of being trained under various acharyas of immense repute. They have often told me, devotion, whichever religion you belong to, devotion to the Almighty, the Paramatma, Bhagavan, Ishvara, whom we call in Sanatana Dharma, is called by different names by different religions. In Sanatana Dharma, there is a belief that if you propitiate or worship, your problems will not come down. I have told this in many of my lectures. I've been at the brickbats of so many. I've said that pariharam can never ever remove your problems. But what it can do is to bring the intensity of the problem slightly down and will make you very numb to those problems. See, for example, when a surgery happens, I'm sure there'll be medical practitioners here, anesthesia will not perennially and eternally remove your pain. For that 1 hour of surgery, you wouldn't know the pain. Then after you go back home, I'm sure the doctor is going to prescribe some painkillers for you. So pariharam or any form of worship can make you numb for some time, can make you feel better, but it won't bring the problem down. 2 hours of my lecture, if I say, I flamboyantly say, you listen to 2 hours of my lectures, your problems will vanish. When you go back home, your children are going to be there. So that's not going to change. So to answer to the question that sir asked, how do we deal with such situations? In my humble opinion, sir, it's all whatever little I have bequeathed from my acharyas, is to read and internalize and listen a lot. We often underestimate the art of listening. Listening is very important. Shravanam is very important. As you get involved in whichever topic you are involved in, it slightly takes you to that world, thereby making your problematic world look small. Your problematic world isn't small. It makes it look small. So my humble submission is listening, reading and internalizing, in my opinion, our scriptures. To each it may change. In my opinion, it's our scriptures. Gives solace, and this will also help you find solutions for your problems at times. Next question.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Namaste, sir.
Namaskaram. I have one question and one request.
Sure,
very
sir.
briefly. Out of the Dasavatarams, we have only temples for 3 avatarams, Narasimha, Rama and Krishna. Why not for the other avatarams? That is one question. Request is, when is the next Yatra Prayanam happening? We've been looking forward for a very long time.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, to the question about the incarnations, the avatarams, they are many in number. Of course, to make it simple and to make it sound as simplistic as possible, our acharyas have said like top 10, like how Pepsi Uma used to do the top 10 songs of the week. We have top 10 avatars. And your question was, why do we have temples primarily only for 3 and not for many? On a very lighter note, sir, with the existing temples itself, maintenance is getting tough. So these avatars have actually saved us. One, for Matsya Avataram, we do have temples. We have one near Madurai. We have Nagalapuram temple. For Kurma Avataram, we have Sri Kurmam. We have one in Srirangam. For Varaha Avataram, we have Sri Mushnam, Tiruvadandai. We have Kallahalli. We have Simhachalam. We have Panniyur near Trishur, and so on. Vamana Avataram, we have Thirukkarkarai in Kerala. For Trivikrama, we have Kalichi Rama Vinnagaram in Sirgali, Kanchipuram, and we have Tirukovalur. For Parashurama, we have Tiruvallam near Tiruvananthapuram. And for Balarama, we just have one small Sannidhi, and we have one temple in Mathura. Of course, as you rightly said, Narasimha Avataram, Rama Avataram, Krishna Avataram have more. That's also because of the longevity of the avataram and the purpose of the avataram. So Rama Avataram and Krishna Avataram lived like humans amidst us. So we often venerate people who are very close to us. In fact, amongst the animals, why do we choose the dog very safe? Because it's very loyal to us. It kind of mimics the human mentality. So Rama Avataram, Krishna Avataram are very important because we live as humans with them. Whereas Matsya Avataram, Kurma Avataram, we may not have that kind of a bonding. Coming to the yatra, yes, after the lecture I'll tell you, sir. We have some coming in the end of 2024. I'll surely tell you, sir. Yes.
Good morning,
Namaste.
sir.
Namaste.
மானுடம் வென்றதம்மா அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. இப்போ வந்து மானுடமாக இருத்தலுக்கும் மானுடம் வெல்வதற்கும் என்ன வித்தியாசம்?
So I'll just literally translate what sir had asked. What is being human and how is it to excel as a human? So coming to being human, it imbibes a lot of qualities which I've already told that Rotarians have: the art of giving, the art of serving, the art of being very charitable, the art of being very merciful. That is being human. How do we exceed that? I'll give you an example from the Ramayana. Nammalvar, who is regarded as one of the pioneers in putting the Vedic thoughts in the Tamil language, he says, பெரியாழ்வார் மாற்றுத்தாய் சென்று வனம் போகே என்றிட ஈற்றுத்தாய் பின்தொடர்ந்து எம்பிரான் என்றழ குற்றுத்தாய் சொல்ல கொடியவனம் போன சிற்றமிலாதானை பாடிப்பற. See, Rama had his own biological mother. He had two other stepmothers. So, three different kinds of mothers, the Alvar says. Why are they different? One mother, she said, my son has to get all the riches. He has to enjoy every bit of the kingdom. Not anybody else's son. That was Kaikai. மாற்றுத்தாய் சென்று வனம் போகே என்றிட. For the sake of my son, let the other lady's son suffer. மாற்றுத்தாய் சென்று வனம் போகே என்றிட. There was another mother, who is Rama's own biological mother, Kaushalya. So Rama goes and tells his mother that the plan A was to make me the Yuvaraja, the heir apparent. Apparently in 24 hours time period, that plan A has changed to plan B. I am not supposed to stay in Ayodhya, I have to go to the forest. And Kaushalya starts weeping. She said, I don't know what have I done. You know, the regular kind of lamenting. Enna pavam panneno ippadi seiva, all this, and Rama patiently listens. You know, you should learn the art of listening from Rama. He patiently listens and says, Mother, this is what is there. How much ever you cry, I have to go. And she makes up her mind. She says, okay, my son is suffering. What shall I do? Okay, you go. ஈற்றுத்தாய் பின்தொடர்ந்து எம்பிரான் என்றழ. So Kaushalya went behind her son who was going on an exile to the woods, and she kept crying and she said, oh, my son is going. Third came Sumitra. Kutruttai. So now the mother Kaushalya, Sumitra, the moment she knows that Rama is going to the forest and her son Lakshmana comes and says, Mother, can I go to the forest with my brother? What would I be telling in the place of Sumitra? நீ ஏண்டா உள்ளப்போ, அவன் ஏதோ பண்ணிட்டு போட்டோம், தள்ளெழுத்து. I would have gone outside and I would have shed tears. It is so sad to know that Rama is going to the forest for 14 years. It comes as a shock to me. I am equally worried for Rama. I shall pray to the deities that they protect your son Kaushalya. It gives me immense sadness to say this, but wait, the world is small. What goes up comes down, and we shall wait after 14 years for the victorious return of your son. Trust me, moi. And then I would have come. It would have been a typical default WhatsApp message with the emoticons. This was what I would have done as Sumitra. Yeah. That's a typical mentality. அவன் ஏதோ பண்ணிட்டு போறான், நீ எதுக்குடா போற, உரிமையா உன் பொண்டாட்டி இங்க இருக்கா அவள. But you know what Sumitra said? பின்னும் பகர்வாள் மகனே இவன் பின் செல் தம்பி என்னும் படியென்று அடியாரின் ஏவல் செய்தி மன்னும் நகர்க்கே அவன் வந்திடில்வா அன்றேல் முன்ன முடியென பால்முலை சோர நின்றாள், tells Kamban. She told her son, you don't act as if you're a very disciplined and a laborious person coming to your mother and asking whether I can go. By now you should have gone. Don't think you can get into my good books by asking for my permission. By now you should have gone. So there was one mother who said, let other sons suffer for the sake of my son. There was another mother who said, I don't want anybody else to suffer, including my son. But Sumitra said, for the sake of others, why shouldn't my son also suffer? It's a very, very tough position to even think or even internalize. If we reach that spot what Sumitra reached, Marudanai velvom. More than being human, we would have risen than the human and we would have become divine. That's my part. Should I stop?
Namaskaram, sir.
Do we have any more questions?
Namaskaram.
Let's take just one more question.
Namaskaram, sir.
Yes, just
Namaskaram.
one more questions because
Can
we
you
are positive.
give any suggestions for controlling our emotion?
No, this will be the last question for the session,
Sure,
sir.
sure.
Thank
I
you.
respect that. So, honestly, sir, when a question is asked, I often check how often do I control my emotions. So, those of you who have seen me in the TV debates will never endorse me even answering this question of controlling emotions, because even the saintliest of the persons can get provoked if we go into the TV debates. So that's a different thing. And with my friend Ornob, who wants the nation to know, he brings the different facets of us on TV channels. That's it. It's a very tough position to attain, sir. For example, Krishna advises on the qualities Sattva, Rajo, Tamo, Gunam in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. It is not as if Krishna did not get angry at all. It is not as if Rama never got angry. We have various instances in Ramayanam where Rama got angry. Raktanka Lochanaha, with eyes reddened, he looked at the king of the oceans. So we have. But what we have believed in Dharma is, Andal puts it in a very nice form. Sinattinal tennilangai komanai chetta manattu kiniyan. So even in anger, kovattilum nalla kovam nu irukku. Kovathiliye nalla kovam nu or category irukku. What is that nalla kovam? When the situation warrants, when the reason is valid, for a certain prescribed stipulated time, if you get angry, that anger is called nalla kovam. இல்லையா? இப்போ 2 பேர் ரோட்ல போயிட்டு இருக்கோம், நானும் என் குழந்தையும், யாரோ பலார்னு என் குழந்தைய போட்டு அடிக்கிறா. குழந்தாய், அவர் ஏதோ அடித்து விட்டார், அது என்ன போட்டு அடிக்கும். ஸோ வர வேண்டிய நேரத்தில் கோபம் வரணுமே. அப்போ குழந்தாய், இது இந்த பூத உடலானது ஆன்மா உள்ளே அமர்ந்திருக்கிறது, அடியை வாங்கி கொள், ஒரு கன்னத்தை காமி, இன்னொரு கன்னத்தை யார் காமிக்கிறா சொல்லுங்க. அதனால கோபம் வர வேண்டிய இடத்துல இப்போ ராமரையும் எடுத்துக்கோங்க, தமிழ்ல சொல்லிவிடுறேன். சீதையை கடத்தின்னு போயாச்சுன்னு விஷயம் வந்துடுச்சு. என்னவோ வாழ்க்கை என்பது இப்படி ஆகிவிட்டது, எங்கிருந்தாலும் சீதை வாழ வேண்டும், நான் மறுபடியும் அயோத்திக்கு செல்கிறேன்னு போயிருந்தா நம்ம எதுக்கு ராமாயணத்தை படிக்க போறோம்? அவர் கோவத்தை உட்காந்து சேத்துவை கட்டி, அவர் இன்ஜினியரிங் காலேஜ் போனாரோ இல்லையோ கட்டி, அதை கட்டிவிட்டு அங்க போய் போராடி அவளை திருப்பி கூட்டுன்னு இதெல்லாம் பண்ணாது, வீரபராக்கிரமத்தை காண்பித்தால் தானே. ஸோ இமோஷன் வரும்போது generally people will always have words like anger in their mind. இமோஷன்னா சாந்தம்ங்கிறது இமோஷன் தான், அது நன்னா இருந்துட்டு போட்டுமே. கோபம் தான் இங்க ப்ராப்ளம். அதனால்தான் those of them who are used to saying this mantram, kamo karishit manyuhu akarishit, yearly once they have to say, நான் தவறு செய்திருப்பேன், அது நான் செய்யவில்லை, என்னுடைய கோபம் தான் செய்தது. என்னுடைய கோபம் எங்கே இருக்கிறது? எனக்குள்ளே இருக்கிறது. ஆனா எனக்கும் கோபத்துக்கும் சம்பந்தமே இல்லை, கோபம் தான் பண்ணி தும்பா. மன்யுஹு அகாரிஷீத், அதை சொல்லும் போதே கோபம் வரும். இட்லி சாப்பிட்டுமா? மன்யுஹு அகாரிஷீத். So it's very tough to control emotions, but in case we come across a person like Paramacharya or somebody, some guru who can actually influence us, that will become a trigger to controlling our emotions. That will surely catalyze our process. So that's where the role of a guru becomes very important. Guru leka etuvanti kuniki teliyaka potu says Tyagaraja. That guru becomes very important. Of course, he shouldn't engage in buying islands or anything. So otherwise, that guru is fine. Yeah, I think I've just shot over time. You have many sessions to continue. I'm extremely thankful. Generally, lectures of mine go for 2 to 2.5 hours. I am literally standing on blazing fire to complete a lecture in 30 minutes. I don't even know how to start and how to end, but you have all been so very magnanimous in sitting through a Sunday morning lecture. A Sunday morning lecture is actually tougher than the history period that comes after lunch break in schools. But you have all been so merciful. Thank you so much. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Sri Dushyanth. To be is being. What a fantastic way of differentiating human being and being human. I'm sure we all had a brief session on Ramayana and Mahabharata and its languaging, behavior and understanding. Now we call upon our District Governor, AKS Rotarian Ravi Raman, and the First Lady Shobhana to kindly felicitate our speaker, Sri Dushyanth Sridhar, with a memento. Requesting Conference Chair Meenakshi to join, please. First Lady Shobhana.